Well, let's get on with the politics, the domestic politics, because the Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, has actually been accused of lying, of misleading the public over the state of the country's finances as she plotted her £30 billion tax raid. Allegedly, it became about saving herself and the Prime Minister.
Well, the Office for Budget Responsibility has revealed that a series of statements in recent weeks from Miss Reeves and her officials falsely exaggerated the fiscal shortfall she faced, the black hole, preparing the ground for her to raise taxes and welfare spending.
Well, joining us now in the studio, political commentator Andy Preston.
Hi.
Do you think she actually might have deliberately misled?
I think she did, and it's not just me. There are a lot of really serious heavyweight journalists who are very careful with their words, saying that she categorically misled people. She'd had been in receipt of a letter from the OBR making it clear that there was room. She didn't need to raise taxes, but she did, and she said it was to cover a productivity problem that caused a black hole, mentioned the Tories again. So it looks like clearly, she wanted to save her own skin, save Keir Starmer's skin, appease her backbenchers. This seems to be a budget about saving her job rather than about looking after children or looking after Britain.
But could she have done what she's done without raising taxes, including the additional welfare spending?
No, she couldn't. And that's the gist.
So this is all about more money for welfare?
The only thing we can draw from this is that she wanted to appease her backbenchers, and the way to do that was splurge money on welfare, and the way to get that money was to raise taxes from everybody else. So listen, Rachel Reeves was already the most unpopular Chancellor ever in the history of recording that data. And Keir Starmer, her boss, is the most unpopular Prime Minister ever in the history of gathering data. The idea now that she can't be trusted to honestly report national financial statements is a big blow, and I think gets them both into trouble, and I can't see how she survives.
Your personal data could be exposed right now without you even knowing it. And if you want it removed, use incogni.com/GB News in the description now and get 60% off an annual plan on us. Incogni reach out to the data brokers on your behalf and request that your information be deleted from their databases. And they'll keep sending removal requests to make sure your data stays gone. Sometimes your information ends up on strange, obscure websites that automated tools just can't reach. And that's why Incogni just launched their unlimited plan with a feature called Custom Removals. With this, you can submit any link where your personal information appears, literally paste in the URL, and their privacy team will investigate and work to get it removed. And getting started is super easy. Hit the link in the description, create an Incogni account, and tell them whose data you want removed. Grant them permission to work on your behalf, and then all you've got to do is sit back and relax. They'll keep you updated along the way. Incogni is totally risk-free for 30 days. If you try it, it's not for you, you'll get a full refund. So take back control of your personal data today with Incogni. Use our code GBNews at checkout via the link in the description, and you'll get 60% off an annual plan.
Well, one has to be, I suppose, look at her wording very carefully. See, I seem to remember when she stood up in Parliament, she did concede, she did acknowledge that part of last year's black hole had been paid. And she wasn't very clear on the amount. And then she talked about another black hole. So she wasn't lying to say that the first black hole hadn't been paid off.
I think that what everybody who's looked at this in absolute detail is saying is that she had received a letter explaining clearly that there was currently no black hole. The productivity issue which had been identified was covered due to other factors.
But she would say she wants to raise taxes to pay off the black hole she sees looming.
Well, what she said was there was a productivity issue from the Tories that originated in the Tories era that she needed to fix. And that's the gist of it. That's the dishonesty. That's at the core of this dishonesty. So
is this long-term politicking then, in the sense that she's right? We talk about raising £26 billion in additional taxes. She hasn't. yet. The vast majority of these taxes come into play in sort of 2028.
Absolutely.
So is she turning around to say, well, actually, by the start of 2028, I'll just go, we've done so well, I cannot now implement these new taxes?
She's gambling. She's praying that somehow growth will kick in. This wasn't a budget for growth. This was a short-term, get me out of an extreme problem, get me out of it now, and let's hope that it's OK tomorrow. It's typical someone who's in debt, who's got a gambling issue. They're hoping that the winner comes in tomorrow or next week. This government is moving from one crisis to another, and they're praying that something turns up, and they're praying that growth turns up. It seems unlikely, but nobody knows.
But the policies don't seem to be stimulating growth.
No. They are not planning for the future. This wasn't a budget for Britain. This was a budget to save her job and appease the backbenchers who are now turning on her. So, Stephen, I think the backbenchers cheered on Budget Day, on Wednesday. This weekend, as they're reading the press, as they're meeting their constituents who are working and paying more tax, they're going to get some awful feedback. They're going to get some dreadful feedback. And that's going to come back to Rachel Reeves. She can't survive. And, of course, in the private sector, if you lied to your boss about the finances, you'd be out.
Yeah.
No questions.
Do you think that they're truly cynical enough to be thinking, all right, and if you read the polls, we might not be the next government anyway, so we'll just land the next government with a huge black hole?
I don't think they're thinking 3 or 4 years down the line, Anne. All they're thinking about is how do we not get fired in the next 6 weeks.
See what, and again, it's speculation, so you've got to be careful. You don't want to be accused of anything, do you? But when you look at all this, when you look at Rachel Reeves teetering on the edge, and if she went, the Prime Minister would have to go, basically, you can't help but look at this and say, are we going to be having a general election sooner than we thought?
You know what? General election, 9 months ago, someone said, will there be an early general election? You say, well, it's always possible, but it's a 1 or 2%. And then a month or two ago, you think, well, maybe it's 3 or 4%. And now, is it 10 or 20%? Probability. So anything could happen now. We're entering a period of political chaos where the government is so deeply unpopular. The Chancellor has apparently, according to people, lied to the public and to Parliament. This is the beginning of an extreme crisis and anything could happen.
But the Tories in the last government chopped and changed their leaders and it didn't trigger a general election.
No, I think getting rid of a leader doesn't trigger a general election, but I think the crisis is so large that we've never had a government that's been so unpopular, or a chancellor, or a prime minister. I think this is uncharted territory. I think anything could happen over the next 12 months, literally anything.
And it's problematic, though, isn't it? Because, I mean, if you did get a new leader, or, a new front bench, in effect, the chances are it's going to be much more to the left. So what people are unhappy with now, you'd likely to get more of. If there was a general election and another party won, are either the Conservatives or Reform UK in a position to take over government at the moment? It's
not a situation that anybody would relish. You want to take over government when things are in rude health and there's money to spend on great things. So it's a really... it's potentially a poison chalice for whoever would win a general election. I think it's unlikely in the short term, but I do think we're entering a crisis of government, and anything could happen now. So I am sure that Nigel Farage, Kemi Badenoch, Zach Polanski are starting to work on plans if an election were to be called. Not next week. But
what did you think of Kemi Badenoch's performance?
I thought that was Kemi Badenoch at her absolute best. That's what she was hired to do.
We haven't seen that before, really.
We haven't seen it. She was hired to be that terrier, that demon, put a flea in Starmer's ear, week in, week out. And she's kind of sometimes done it, usually not. And she was on fire, and the public are listening, and the Tories will start rising in the polls. I saw someone online, actually, criticising her as an attack dog. But in a way, you sort of need an attack dog in opposition, don't you? You really do. And actually, I was starting to feel she was so good, and I felt Rachel Reeves was desperately humiliated. I started to feel sorry for Rachel Reeves. But now I'm seeing the dishonesty. Now I'm seeing that she apparently lied about the national finances. It's very hard to feel sorry for someone who does that. It is. I mean, I felt sorry for her when her uncle started to badmouth her in one of the newspapers. I thought, that's not very nice. No. But just as I was feeling sorry for her again, yes, then we learned about this. So it's a hell of a job, isn't it? And can I just say, this is not the first time her honesty has been called into question. We've had a bunch of things from her CV, whether she was a chess champion, Bank of England governor, the clothes from Lord Ali, the concert tickets, the house not having the licence to rent it out. And then this. There is an honesty question, at least, isn't there?
All right.
A monstrous question.
Andy, good to see you this morning. Thank
Great to
you
see
very
you.
much indeed.
My goodness. Right, it's 10 minutes past 9. Just a reminder, friends of GB News can vote in today's You Decide poll by scanning the QR code that you can see, or you go to the GB News website and it'll be there. We're asking, can we trust any party to tell the whole truth about the public finances? The results are now coming in. 8% of you so far have said yes, 92% no.
Well, that's not surprising the way
Not
things
really.
are at the moment, is it?